So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So as always, we'll start with a little bit of a review. Last week in rec therapy, we talked about leisure barriers, and flow. Thank you all for sharing with me your leisure interests and your struggles, your leisure barriers. I was really impressed with the adaptations that you all have made to continue to engage in those activities that bring you joy. That made me really, really happy to hear that. And it also paired perfectly with last week's OT activity on time management. So in that activity, you will have kept track of your daily activities, categorized them, and made it into a pie chart of how you spent your time in each category. So as your rec therapist, I'm curious, what did your leisure section of your pie chart look like? Was it maybe smaller than you wanted it to be? Maybe being held back by some of those leisure barriers, or were you pleasantly surprised? Were you okay with the amount of time that you were spending in your leisure? But no matter your results, no one's here to judge, only to encourage. And so as you continue to reflect on your pie chart in this week's OT activity, we are going to be honing in on one of the activities listed that might be of particular interest lately. And I say lately, you're like, well, what could that be? Something seasonal? Not really. But with all the rain in the forecast lately, it sure does make me want to cozy up with a good book. So without further ado, here are 5 benefits of reading. Benefit number 1, increases brain connectivity. So in one 2013 study, researchers used fMRI scans to measure the effects of reading a novel on the brain. So study participants read the novel Pompeii over a 9-day period. And as the tension built in the book, more and more areas of the brain lit up with activity. And the brain scans showed that throughout the reading period and even days after, the brain connectivity increased. Benefit number 2, reduces stress. So in one study of students in demanding health science programs in the United States, researchers found that just 30 minutes of reading lowered blood pressure, heart rate, and feelings of psychological distress just as effectively as yoga or humor. Benefit number 3, encourages empathy. So research has suggested that people who read literary fiction show a heightened ability to understand the feelings and the beliefs of others. So they call this ability the theory of mind, and it just allows us to really better connect with those people around us. Benefit number 4, alleviates depression. So sometimes when we're struggling with depression or we feel depressed, we may feel really isolated, especially in a time like right now and lately where we have quite literally had to be isolated from others, and including those who we love. And that's a really difficult thing to cope with, but that is something that books can actually sometimes lessen. Because when we're reading fiction, it allows us to temporarily escape our own world and become entirely immersed in an imagined experience of characters, of other characters. And so you can think about it in terms of flow, like we talked about last week. When we open a book, it can quite literally like open a gate to flow. We just become totally immersed in the book, in the story, and we lose track of time. But even if it's not fiction, even if it's nonfiction, maybe a self-help book, those can also teach us strategies to maybe help manage our symptoms of depression. And number 5, it's accessible. So arguably the best benefit of reading is that it has become so accessible. You can access news, blogs, books, even entire local libraries right at your fingertips now. And if flipping through books seems like a hassle, maybe consider switching your reading to a tablet like an iPad or a Kindle. I heard from several members last week who do this to keep engaged in reading. So that's awesome. You guys keep it up. Maybe if that's something that you're interested in, reach out to some of those members and ask them their thoughts on it. But if that still seems like too much to you, maybe consider an audiobook. This way, all you have to do is press play, kick back and relax and just listen. So those are 5 benefits that I really wanted to highlight for you today. Sometimes I think that we think that reading is exclusively to help our cognition, but we can see from these benefits that it actually goes beyond that into our physical, emotional, and social health. And if you can remember, those are also many of the domains that we try to emphasize in rec therapy. So it's really hitting on a lot of those. And there are a lot of benefits, holistic benefits to reading. So as you all know by now, at least I hope, that I'm a very competitive person. And while reading is a very relaxing activity, one of my favorite things in my childhood was during the summer when my local library branch had the summer reading challenge. So it was read as many books as you can and get prizes. And I was like, wow, this is great. And I would just fly through books. And to this day, I probably haven't been as motivated to read as I was then, because it's not as fun when you don't get a prize at the end, I guess. But I myself have a huge stack of books that I have been meaning to get to. So to help myself, to help you, to help us all get into our leisure, we are going to do a reading challenge this week. So it's not just going to be like answer a question or just something today. This is going to extend until next Tuesday at midnight. So shortly after I'm done with this video, I'm going to attach the document in this post, and it is a reading log. So it'll have the date, the book, and the number of minutes that you spend reading. So fill that out and send it to me. You can take a picture of it and send it to me over email. You can take a picture and post it in the comments to this post. But make sure that that is sent to me by midnight of June 2nd. That's a Tuesday, next Tuesday, midnight, June 2nd. Send it to me, and then I will announce the winner in next week's rec therapy video on Wednesday, and that person will receive a prize. So, and everyone can participate. All members, all staff, all students. So let's really get this competition going. And I look forward to seeing you all then and announcing the winner and hearing about all of the wonderful books that you've been reading and all the minutes that you've been putting in. So thank you all very much for joining me this afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.